Hello and welcome to yet another installment of our interview series brought to you by the Editorial Committee of the Royalist Magazine 2025 Mid-Year Edition. I am Ananda Gunaratne and I will be your host for this episode. Today, we are truly honored and privileged to be joined by a distinguished all-royalist and a highly respected figure in Sri Lanka's legal sphere. The gentleman in question is none other than Mr. Rajeev Amarasuriya, a former Senior Prefect, Chief Editor of the Royalist Magazine in 1995, an alumnus of the University of Colombo and the prestigious Harvard Kennedy School in Cambridge, and who currently serves as the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, the largest and most esteemed professional body for legal practitioners in the country. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ananda.
Thank you, sir, for accepting our humble invitation and for taking the time to join us today despite your undoubtedly busy schedule. Your presence here is sure to inspire countless young royalists, whether they are watching this on YouTube or reading the article in our magazine. Right. To begin with, sir, could you please give us a brief recap of your time at Royal College? What clubs and societies, sports, and other extracurricular activities were you involved in during your school years?
Thank you. That's an interesting question. Brings a lot of fond memories. It was a very lovely time. I joined in 1983. That was to kindergarten, year one, and I did my A-levels in 1996. And then, of course, we had one more year as prefects. Those are the formative years. I think the stay at Royal laid the foundation in many aspects. And I think the benefit we as Royalists have is that we have, it's a cross-section of society. We have, those from, Colombo, from then with the scholarship entry, we have the best from the outstations. And we have, it's a nice mix. Immediately when I think of college, think of the intervals where you go and run and initially play softball, cricket. Well, start off with, I think, marbles. Whether that's permitted anymore. But then you have, cricket, those competitive cricket. I don't know how we managed in 20, 30 minutes to play a cricket match and have eat something and get back to class, but that actually took place. Then for the studies, always was important, and the many clubs and societies which one gets involved, and of course sports also. I played a little bit of house cricket. I didn't continue up that line, but certainly played. Then of course the sports meets, we had various meets from the primary onwards. I remember long jump, high jump. I was not so tall those days. Whatever, the marathon, which you barely managed to, the road race, what do you call it? Yes, you barely managed to finish. And of course, even I think there was at one sports meet, the main one, there was, I think, a cycling race, if I'm not mistaken. And we went on our mountain bikes around the ground, and I think I came second, or I won the cycle race somehow in the primary. And then someone said that we went, and it was not, it's hard to cycle a mountain bike around the college ground where you're on grass. It's not easy. So those are the fun memories. The societies I was quite involved in. I was president of the Mass Media Association, which came out with the Royalist, which is this newspaper. It was an interesting story, because when this would have been in 94, 95. 95 is, I think, when we relaunched.
1995.
Yes. So an uncle of mine, he was on the Supreme Court and he passed away, Justice Prasanna Jayawardena, my mother's brother. He once mentioned at one of our family lunches that there was something called the Royalist newspaper. They did it in the 80s. And for some reason, it was not, at our time, there was no newspaper. So he mentioned this, and it was working in my mind, and I had a chat with a few people. I said, shall we do this? You're looking for things other than studies, not to find. So it was, it somehow was down my path. And that's how the Royalist newspaper started. I was chairman of the Mass Media Association, that connected. So on that basis, we made some application, got the old newspapers. So we recommenced it, I think, after about 15 years. and gave life to it. We used the same, structure, but of course improved on it. And that's how the Royalist newspaper came to being. And for that was also a journey. I was also, I was the editor of the college magazine also, which we did I think soon after this. And we had a junior JCs was at Royal at the time, which JCs wanted. And then I was at a meeting, I was president of that. And of course, as you know, there are so many other society, wildlife associations, all sorts of things we were involved with. And it was a nice time, I think, during the A-levels. It was a opportunity to, and doing a newspaper means you get to go, you have to print, you have to edit, you have to collect articles. I think there was a gossip column also. And also you have to sell. So, and that's a lot of good reason not to be in class. And Mr. Senapati was the master in charge, and he was also, I think, he was the English. So there was several periods he used to come general English, I think. And those periods for sure we were out doing something. And that's it. Very memorable days at college. Gave me a foundation. I think what Royal gives you is you're grounded. I mean, you are firmly on the ground. So whatever challenges come your way, whatever difficulties come your way, you realize, and you can. I mean, I think all Royalists have that strength. So that's something which is special. I mean, and that's I mean, some say large school, you have so many students. How do you manage? But that is in itself a strength. I have 600 in my batch. So we have, I mean, I think all of you also would have about 600 in a batch.
Now, so we have close to about 1,000.
And that's the thing. So now you have 1,000 in a batch. Sometimes in a whole school you have only 1,000. So that is the extreme advantage you have. But the flip side is, to do well in anything, you are competing with a much larger number. If you want to play cricket and get to the first 11, you're competing with a much larger group as opposed to the second best school, for example, down by the sea. It's smaller number. So that is it extremely memorable. And actually, my closest friends even today are those who I met at Royal.
Thank you, sir. So you mentioned, sir, you served as the editor of the Royalist Magazine in 1995.
Yes.
What was the editorial process like back then? Could you walk us through the full journey, sir, from content gathering and editing, designing, printing, and finally distribution?
About 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
30, yeah, 2000 years, 30 years ago.
Exactly 30 years.
So it was, of course, we were doing it for the first time. So it was a bit of muddling through. They call it management. There's a strategy called muddling through. So no one knew what we were doing, but it came out well. So Mass Media Association, I was president. Then we quickly formed the editorial board for the Royalist newspaper. So I was the chief editor. And we worked out some structure of what we need to have in the newspaper. We identified those who will be able to coordinate. For example, the last page, I was now looking at what you brought today, and the last page has sports. So we got someone who was a sports fanatic, or someone who's interested in sports, to look at that and give us something. There was on music also. So we got somebody who was familiar with that. Then, of course, we were looking at, and there's an interview with the principal, is something which we started off with. We wrote, I think, to all the clubs and societies at the time and said, give us news, whatever you have. There was a gossip column also, if you notice.
Yes.
And then someone came out with that. So I remember, I can't remember exactly the incident, but there were some barricades put outside Royal there was some security issue. And that gave rise to some concern, I think, at the time as to how you're barricading those roads. I think that was the incident. And then one of our, the investigative journalists, they slowly went through some tree and they took some pictures with the Royalist newspaper was coming out for the first time. The teachers didn't know what this was. So you had to now you can go and say we are interviewing for the newspaper. But at the time, no one knew what this was. I mean, there was some approval. So I remember they took a picture and I think they put it or not, I can't remember, but it was like that. And then we came out with the articles. We worked out a structure. So what we would do is, and I don't know if you do that, you get some papers, you put it together and make a dummy. When you have these articles, I think we wrote to other schools also. I don't know this edition or the ones after, but there were contributions from other schools also, even ladies, girls schools, I don't know, they all have that now.
So we are taking an article from the HP of St. Thomas's.
Yes. But I think opened it out through the committee. And I didn't have access. And ironically, funnily, the lady I got married to subsequently also has put an article here. And then I didn't know her at the time. Sometimes it through somebody. And later it transpired that she was into writing and all sorts of. So I mean, I didn't know her from college for another 5-6 years. I didn't know her, but somehow that article, I don't know, we did several of this every quarter, so I don't know which one, but there was one where she also had written in and it had got in. And I told her I improved it a bit. And I said I put it in. Anyway, those are little stories. But then, of course, there were challenges of getting it into a soft copy. There was this small printing place in Maradana, small place. But somebody, suggested that, and we went, I think, behind Malay Street, that where that burger outlet there is, every time it's open all the time now. Just there on the side, small place, but a good gentleman, and he gave a very good quotation with those also issues. No? And it was done in newsreel, and so then we got the proof. We were correcting it. I don't know whether we gave it for approval. I don't think. I mean, at the time, I don't think maybe the master in charge looked at it, but that was fine. And then we didn't know, so we published, I think, maybe 500 or 1,000, 500 copies or 1,000 copies. Then we had to sell it, and that was the other interesting part. I think 5 rupees, or I don't know what, maybe 5 or 10 rupees. And then it was like crazy. We had more people got involved. Friends like this type of things, from kindergarten all over, like now papers are sold, and it was like newspaper week. And that's how the Royalist newspaper came. I'm happy that we were able to give life to something which had closed down, and that continues to date. And that's something which makes me happy, because anything good must continue. Yes. And this was there in the 80s. We started in 1995 again, and it has continued, I think, fairly uninterruptedly up to today. And it's also it's an important messaging also for students to keep royal as royal also. That was we must. Royal is the institution of tradition, certain ways of doing things, and you will be documenting this here also, like the magazine. And more than the magazine, you have opportunity of real magazine is articles and a little bit more formal. So that is the process of how the Royalist newspaper came to be, or had a second birth.
Thank you, sir. So, could you share with us some of the fun moments or fondest memories you had your time during your school days at Royal? Anything in particular that still makes you smile or that leaves a lasting impression?
Yes, I think every day was a good day. Apart from, of course, exam time. I mean, I've done quite well in my exams, but it was always a last minute stress situation. I mean, people question and I say this, but I mean, I got the best results there was, and usual stuff at Royal you get, but it was always a last minute. And it was, apart from those months you take out, 3 weeks before the exam, which I mean, you don't know what you're doing sometimes, but apart from the stress of those exams, it was a lovely experience. It was as most schools would have. As I mentioned at the beginning, the softball, cricket. I remember we were playing a match. A friend of mine who's CEO of a company, so he used to bring the bat, and I think either he got out or something happened. And as I think still happens, he walked away with the bat. So no bat, no cricket, and things like that. There was one incident where you have the annual where you observe SIL.
Yeah.
You have the SIL campaign. What do you call it?
The annual SIL program.
Yes. So we went for this, and of course, we were not mindful, or we were obviously distracted. We are taking the Buddhist textbook, and then somebody suggested, "No, can't go on like this any longer." With utmost respect. We were children, not children, maybe we were in our early teens. Someone suggested, you have to, so how you come out of Atasil is you have to take Pansil. So someone suggested when they want somebody want to play tap rugger on the basketball court with the coconut maker, the small coconut when it's dried. Yeah, that's the ball. So we went, and then in the middle of the basketball court, all of us stood and took Pansil. You have to come out, you have to say Pansil, and we played tap with the whatever. So that was one. I mean, like that, many incidents. I think from Royal Thomian times where you go into schools, girls' schools, and we didn't have bad experiences. We were not arrested or those problems, but certainly we went in and we came out fast. The Royal Thomian itself, the cycle parade, the teachers being maybe caned once or twice. I didn't have bad experiences, but of course in groups you come late. We had a Mr. Kure, MSH Kure, who was the deputy principal of
Srila Kure, sir.
No, MSH. He was the deputy principal of the middle school.
Yes.
Srila Kure. Yeah. So MSH Kure, and so he used to stay. His office was at that brick building.
Yes.
The year 10, and he used to stay at the bottom. So when you get late after the interval, you have no choice. He stands you, and he goes like this. And a few like that. I didn't have actually. I was not too indisciplined. No, I was maybe smart in what I did, but I didn't have too many bad experiences. But so there's like that, and those were the when we were small, we used to have this. The government used to give milk and buns. Utter mess, because we have this, and used to have when we bring it in a bucket, and the milk is to spill, and the whole class is smelling of either strawberry or chocolate, those Highland packets, and the bun, Prima bun. I don't know, they don't do that now. Or the little card they give at the time, they used to give every day you come, you get a little allowance, and you can get something from the tuck shop, or you can get like rations. So used to collect those, the crazy things they did. Once, so after O-levels, so we went back, I think just before our O-levels, or maybe just before, we went back into school, and there was no one, and somebody smart came up with the idea of spray painting the class. Various things. O-level, I don't know what we were thinking. So I was there, but somehow I was not part of the act. I was there, and suddenly this class is spray painted. It's chaos. You can't do that. There was a session of disciplining. I was not. I mean, I was there. I was. No one let anyone down. Everyone listened, but then people won't be. You can't spray paint the class with various things. That's the year 11 building. And there were many incidents. I mean, if you recall, it was a nice time. I actually the best part was the A-level years, where we involved with so many activities, so many things. It was never ending. There was a time I remember my father, and Chambers here. He was here, and he said, and I mentioned this when I speak about careers to lawyers. So I was doing these letters, and it was always sponsorship letters, some advertisement, some banner. I mean, you always must be doing this. Yes, yeah. He said, Rajeev, you're doing these letters, you're wasting time. You will have to become a letter writer. At the time I listened. But actually, as lawyers, we write a lot of letters. So my first experience in writing letters was back in the day from college. Sending various banner letters, sponsorship letters, things. So it was a very interesting time. Others, I didn't jump school and go over the wall and those things. I didn't do. But I think by our time, apart from a handful, that it was a little bit more regulated. You couldn't go out also. But it was generally. Yes, one day in the night I drove my car on the ground because that was, I think, maybe as prefects or just before. We had one of these associations. We had disco night in the main hall. I don't know whether that is permitted now. My father told me when he was at college that they had organized something through the Interact Club. And I was president of the JCs. So it was a fundraiser. And so we got approval for they cleared the college hall and it became a disco, but it didn't really, it's all boys, no? So it did this. And then it's just realized. So at the end of that night, I had taken my father's car. So then you can somehow get onto the ground, and we did a little bit of driving at 12 in the night. And in fact, that was also little things. So you have to when you go those days, and even now when you go to a club, you have this stamp you. So we were not sure how schoolboys, how when you sell tickets, how you go in and come out. So I told one of my colleagues, my friend Shanta, why don't you get have this stamping system, because we had to. So then he had got, but unfortunately, the one he brought didn't have proper ink. So what happened is we stamped. Then some of the seniors who were there who wanted to come in without tickets had got a better stamp, and they also stamped themselves somewhere else, and a whole lot of people coming in with this stamp. So and then you had to get the police down and stop these fellows. I mean, coming in without entry because we were worried. So those were there are many more. There's just a few come to the top of my mind.
Thank you for rolling back the years with us, sir. After leaving Royal, you had an inspiring academic and professional journey. Could you tell us how your path unfolded from university to eventually being selected as the president of the Bar Association?
Interesting journey. But I must say it was never planned. Even becoming president of the Bar Association was not planned. I went with the flow. I was fortunate where my parents didn't push me in any direction. So I got the usual 10 Ds from Royal in my O-levels. Then it was through elimination. I didn't want, I was very good in science, and I think I thought I would have got 95 at the O-level paper. In fact, I was trying to find out how much I got. But I didn't like science. I didn't like the chemistry, the physics. Though you're good at it, if you don't like it, pointless. So when I was told to select my A-level stream, so if you did maths, you had to do physics and chemistry, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Back in the day, so there were combined maths. So now we have combined mathematics. Back in the day, you have applied mathematics and pure mathematics.
Yes.
2 parts.
Yes. So that was there. Then bioscience also I didn't want to do because it has the science component.
Yeah.
So the other languages and commerce. And I had done commerce my O-levels, and I liked the subject. So it was through elimination that I did commerce. That's where I started. Then once I completed my A-levels, and I used to come first in the class or second in the class. So I had my friend Shanta Mendra. So I used to come first, and then I lose interest, and he comes first. And then he loses interest, and I come first. That's how we went for the 2 years. And I got my 4 A's. And then I had a choice of deciding which course I want to take. Accountancy at the Sri Jalspur University was one, that was a good faculty. That was one clear option. But I felt I wanted to keep my options open, and the law faculty was the other. So I selected the law faculty. And of course, there are some lawyers in the family, and law, there is a tradition in my mother's family that many have gone to the law faculty. So that was, I'm not that I was pushed. So I went there, but I also, since I had the accounting background, I did my CIMA. So I'm a fellow member of CIMA. I qualified and did my CIMA. Unlike you all, we had to wait for 2 years to get into university because of the backlog.
Yes.
During that period, I finished 3 parts, and I did the 4th part once I started the law faculty. So I went in, and then it was not planned. So then you do your law degree. I was president of CIMA Student Society. So that I was involved more with that than the law faculty. Then I came out, I did my attorneys. I was lucky I came first in the batch and I got the gold medal. So then it was like, into the legal profession. Then again, I had 2 uncles who were in practice. One was original court practitioner, one was appellate court practitioner. I joined my uncle who was in the appellate court, and I worked with him. And I got a lot of training, and I worked with him for a long time. And of course, one thing which you might, as this is an interview and we have young people watching, I don't like to speak about myself, but I must say this, I whatever I take on, if I'm in it, I try to do it as much as possible to the best of my ability. I mean, that I must say, and that is maybe a personal trait or something which drives me, but if you take on something, I feel you must deliver. So that is how I, came up the ranks and the number of years, maybe a little faster than the others, because of the various opportunities. I got dragged into the Bar Association also by coincidence. There was some conference we organized, and then I was in a committee. It went off well. Then suddenly they were looking for a chairman for the National Law Conference, because the chairman of the National Law Conference, a very prestigious event, the Bar Association, went missing. He went abroad, and he was not doing it. Then suddenly the invitation came to me at a very young age. I was probably the youngest chairman of the National Law Conference. Can you help us out? 3-4 weeks, can you organize a National Law Conference? I thought about it and agreed. Got a team. So that's how then there was some other event where because of that I got involved. And then I came forward for the post of secretary of the Bar Association. I think that was a turning point in my becoming president, because I went. It was election. Initially, I'm a Colombo practitioner. I work in the appellate courts. I don't go outside. So there were views, you're not known in the outstation and so on. And I went and I found that a lot I know. I know them through the law faculty, or through connection. I met them, and I got a lot. And I think that election I got it was the largest percentage win for a secretary, and I won. But apart from all of that, election was end of February 2020. I was due to take office on the 28th or 29th of March 2000, and secretary taking over a big convocation, either the BMICH or some hotel, big event, Chief Justice, all. And the then committee decided that, well, I have won the election, I will take over. So we had to go to the Bar Association. We had to speak to the police, get curfew passes, open the Bar Association, light an oil lamp, sign a document, knock the oil lamp off, lock the Bar Association, and come back home. And for 6 weeks it was that. And I came in as secretary of probably the most influential professional body in the country, which has a lot of things, in its scope. And we didn't have courts, but I think maybe because maybe all these experiences I had at college, or all of that, I was posed with two options. I could have just waited like everyone else waited, and just waited for the country to open, and just said, okay, I have COVID, I was secretary, and I'm sorry, this is all we could do. Or use it as an opportunity to turn the system around. And I took this latter path, and then we converted. I was told by the president and the treasurer at the time, where Bar Association has no money. I asked why. Most of our income was through fixed deposits, and that had, if you remember, the interest rates came down by half during the COVID time. And the second was through physical programs, seminars, conferences, all that came to zero. And they want to lay off staff, and I said, no, hold on, I have to run this, I will take control. And I converted, and then that credit is given to me, all of what BASL does to the online platform. Seminars, the certificate courses, everything we converted. We got Zoom and virtual platform. And suddenly, by what we did, when we had 50 in a hall and we were happy, we were having 250 joining and paying. And members not even only in Sri Lanka, I remember from Dubai, from London, it's virtual. And it was cheap for them. 15,000 rupees is nothing when you convert to pounds. So that transformation I took, and I think what the membership also felt, and I think is that, in such a situation, the Bar Association became active. And it did probably more than it did the previous years. And I was able to transform that, and I'm thankful to the teams which helped me. And that 2 years, which I think, which everyone says was very, very successful, propelled me faster than anyone else to become president 2 years later. Or 3 years later, because another reason is some of the things, unfortunately, in this country, sometimes you must say what has to be said. No? So if something good is started, whoever comes thereafter must continue it. If say this government does something good, the next government must continue it and then build on that. And then we've seen in this politics also, someone starts something, either you want to change the name or you want to do something, and it doesn't happen. You have to do what the past did and do new things. So some of what I did as secretary was not unfortunately continued. That made another, another vacuum, and then there was more, for me to come back. So that is how I ended up as president of the Bar Association. Maybe, well, they say I'm the youngest president, but I think by about a year, we are to the next, I think, is 2 more years. But, and I think in this new world, these age limits have changed. If you look at the private sector, those days you will become a MD, managing director, maybe if your retirement age is at 60, you're looking at maybe 55, 57. Now it's not the case. I mean, a lot of my friends from college are leading, Ramesh, my college mate, his batchmate is now managing director of Ceylon Bank. He's also 47 like me. He became, I think, a year back. So the times have changed. And also more people who are younger looking at experiences and to live life. So you might not really work to the end. And you might well say, okay, I'm going to now retire and I'm going to enjoy life. So I think all of you also will get dragged into the epicenter of what you do earlier than later. And that's what is happening. You can't fight change. So that's how I became president of the Bar Association.
So instead of laying back and making excuses, as said himself, he decided to act like a true royalist and raise the bar itself. As a graduate of the Harvard Kennedy School in Cambridge, how did that experience of studying at a world-renowned foreign university shape your perspective on matters and help you in your journey?
I didn't do a degree there or master's, but I followed an executive program. It gave me a lot of insight during that stay in Harvard. I was at the Colombo University, and that was my. I am proud to say I'm a complete Sri Lankan product. Even SEMA I did from here. But that stint changed my view on education, on interaction, and it was a group of those of different backgrounds and from around the world. And there was one member in our group was the head of the largest construction company which constructs malls in the Middle East, huge scale. And I have had that opportunity of interacting with all of these people, and it was to do with leadership and how leadership is looked at. Sometimes we miss the wood for the trees, and some few recollections. One is that it came up, and I had some personal one-to-one also. And one thing, of course, they told me that I must do at that time, which I still haven't, is that they felt that I need to take one day off in the week and just knock out completely. I agreed. Saturday I will not work, but it does not happen. That was a bit of piece of advice I was given. But this helicopter view, sometimes when we are in an issue, when we are in some contentious matter, and we are within that issue, you need to come out of it. And before you make a decision, and this helicopter view, you're in the crowd on the dance floor, and you're one of them, and you're but then you just take a step back, you go to the balcony or go on top, you just look at your surroundings, the circumstances, factors, and then only you proceed. That's something I try to follow. They say when you're angry, you must not reply an email. Someone sends something silly, and of course we all do it on WhatsApp groups, you're always sending things back. But generally you need to come back, come out of it, think, and send. We also don't follow it all the time. But and also I realized that education in universities such as those Ivy League universities is more to do with not being told what to do or not being told what it is, but to get the student thinking. And I think our education system also, we need to, here it's still about a little bit of memorizing, studying, going, whether it's Sinhala literature, you're, memorizing things or whatever. It's about engaging, getting, and that is a learning. It's not about putting it down on though I have probably done very well at every exam I have sat, or done better than I even expected. I still believe that our system has to change. It should not be about answering a question paper of 3 hours and your future being determined by that. It should be more interactive, it should be engaging, and it should be something which goes within. Now, some of what we have sat at exams and I have answered, I don't remember, but now say my short stint in Harvard, I remember, it's inside. It's not, I don't know when or who said, it's not that, but I know, well, these are things which I have within. So whilst, certainly I'm very proud of our education system, the university system, but I think we need to also move. There are many young lecturers, the new lecturers who are looking at methods like that. But as a country, if we are going to develop and prosper, I think and then I think Royal is a place of learning which also needs, I know you all have smart classrooms, correct?
Yes.
And it's moved. So I think Royal is also like it's not a school in that way. It's more like one may call it even like a university. It's a different, and then it's it's open to anyone who excels. If you do well if you are living close by, you get to Royal. If you have the old boys category, but if you do well, if you do the scholarship exam, anyone has entry. It's like going to the university. That option is there, so that I think there is a lot to learn, a lot to do in the education sphere.
Thank you, sir. Has pursuing law always been a lifelong ambition, or was there a particular moment or incident that inspired you to take this path?
So as I mentioned, it was not. I have not planned. People, might think, well, I have never had a plan for my career. I like to do, as I said, do very well in what I do. That's a personal trait, maybe. So law I came into by coincidence or maybe natural progression, whatever one may call it. But I feel that it was the right choice. It was the perfect choice because law has also given me, as a lawyer, what you get is something. It's not the qualification; it's a legal mind, and that you get with years. You don't get immediately. You qualify, but now as a lawyer, when I look at something, if even a question you ask me now, my legal mind is in operation. Here it's not, but if even I go to the supermarket and I'm trying to decide, over something, expiry date, what is it? Your mind is working, so it's a legal mind. That legal mind has come in handy, or being a strong tool I have. And I have been involved in many things, and I have been on various. I've just last week resigned from the governing board of the central bank. Because I wanted to, I was appointed by the Constitutional Council for 6 years till 2031, and 1.5 years into the role, when I became president, 2 days before I assumed duty, I sent a letter to the President, His Excellency President, saying that I want to focus my time and attention on the Bar Association. It's a shorter term, but I feel that you take on something, maybe going back to what I said, and if I was on the board of the governing board of the Central Bank Monetary Policy Board, I need to give attention there, and there are meetings, there are commitments, and I can't just go and sit there and come out. And that's the economy of the country. Main institution which drives the economy, and I resigned because I don't want to, give my second attention to either institution. So again, the legal background helped. I mean, when I was probably nominated, they would have thought of all this, and it has helped me a lot. Again, there was no plan. I don't think anyone can plan your future like that, and you shouldn't. Let it flow. I mean, I don't know where I will be. I'm now president. I might be nice to retire and go, but we can't do that. But one thing, of course, I aspire to, I hope I'll be able to do is I like the beach and the sea a lot. And I've always said, I like to just one day go and have some small place by the sea and just enjoy that life. I don't know whether that will ever be, I hope it happens sooner than later. But that is if you ask what my ambition is, many will say I have a lot of different ambition, but that is my final ambition, because you have to, as Maslow said, it is self-actualization. That is the final in the pyramid, and that is, you must be happy, you must do what you like to do, and you must have a sense of fulfillment.
Thank you, sir. What were some of the key milestones or challenges you faced in your legal career that helped shape the leader that you have become today?
I think I mentioned that in advance. I think that period as Secretary of the Bar Association during a very, very difficult time in the country. I mean, you speak to members of our profession. What I tell you, they have told me. BASL could have shut down. It could have closed, like a lot of institutions, for a good 1 year. And that probably also gave me an opportunity, because some of the people, in the system, some didn't know what to do. So it gave a younger secretary the opportunity to experiment and go ahead. Maybe if it was normal times, I would have been the secretary, the second most. You have president, you have a secretary, then deputy president. So I may not have had that freedom to basically, come out with what I thought we had to do and take the profession to a different level. So as they say, challenges bring opportunity. I was faced. We must understand the court system closed down, and many our lawyers, the income is when you go to court. The court is not sitting. Now, if you are working somewhere, the institution might pay you if they are running. But as lawyers, if the court doesn't function, I don't go to court. I can't charge my client. So where the income? And our members got in a lot of trouble. You had people have taken leases, loans, day-to-day expenses, medical expenses. It can happen if you don't have savings. You're in deep trouble. And so that situation, and then we were able to get courts opened and to convert, and a lot of learning, education took place. When you were at home, we were giving online education free of charge, webinars. We conducted 175 webinars in those 2 years. And I think the membership felt, well, we are at home. And the Bar Association is now giving something to us. So that converted, gave me also confidence that, I've done this before, but you can take it on. So I think I'm more bold now. Even if there's a challenge, you have to sit down. President Trump has just imposed the 30% tariff on Sri Lankan exports. But we shouldn't get too taken aback. I mean, the 30% is better than other countries, many other countries. I think we have to just take it on. These are things which come our way. Find like we did, during COVID, with the 30 we will do, we'll cut our costs, we'll reduce something, we'll make it more efficient. We'll look at other markets. But you have to deal with it. pointless, crying about it or going on social media and, people just criticizing. Now you have to deal with it. So I think that is what that 2 years. I mean, as a lawyer is. I mean, I've been as a lawyer practice, but those 2 years changed uh, even the way I approach things. Gave me a lot of learning.
As the current head of the Bar Association, what initiatives or reforms are you currently implementing or planning on to implement to strengthen the legal profession in Sri Lanka?
Yes. So I have come on 3 pillars when I came forward. One is, of course, independence. The bar must be as independent as independent can be, and unconditionally. I mean, I will not allow the bar to, be partisan at any point. If it's my view is that if it's something is right, you must have the confidence say it's right, whoever it is. If it's wrong, you must say it's wrong. I will say that, and we will say that. In respect of the second pillar is innovation. We have to think out of the box. We must concede that our legal system needs improvement, the time, the efficiency, and so on. The development we have seen, take a bank, for example. If you went to a bank 20 years ago when you were even, I don't know, you won't have a 20 years ago. Right, so if you went 15 years ago, when I went 20, 30 years ago, it's different. Now it's very different, and now you don't go to the bank. It's on the app. So now that transition has happened in Sri Lanka in the banking sector. But in our legal profession, that has not happened like that. It's still recently they introduced a payment gateway. It's a very good initiative by Her Ladyship the Chief Justice. But that maybe should have happened 20 years ago when payment gateways came. So there is movement to digitalize. But we need, and we have been talking about the laws delays. I say think out of the box, and we had to do it. And I mean, it's not the role of the bar association, but we can push and get it, see that the other stakeholders, especially the government, gets its act together. This government is positive, and I hope they continue to be positive. And we must change, and that is something which is driving me. I want to see some upward development of our system, make it more efficient. Something I say, I mean, openly, I've said this many times. If you're an investor, why would you come to Sri Lanka with all this bureaucracy, red tape, and delays in the legal system? That we must change, and that is something which benefits my generation, benefits yours more. Because I want to see Sri Lanka one day becoming that Malaysia, and that is something which is a responsibility we all have. I mean, as professionals, we have to push, see it in that direction, because we have probably one of the most beautiful islands in the. We travel, my wife and I, we travel a lot, and that's something we like to do. And whenever we have an opportunity, if it's official, visit somewhere, something goal, we convert it into a little bit. Because she also has to travel, I also have to travel, then we try to combine the two and make that as an opportunity to see the world. I have seen many parts of the world, but each time I go, I compare, say, my God, we have so much here. What are we doing? So to do that, we have to change, and the legal system also has to change. And I'm very keen to see, I mean, whatever I can in this period to push for change. My third pillar is inclusivity. I have seen we have a huge young junior bar. The young members are probably equal to it's a large number, and it's increasing every year. 1,000 come out, and we need to address the issues of young members, find them work. I also want to see lawyers. I mean, I'm speaking to you in the Royalist Magazine. I'm speaking as president of the bar. I want to see lawyers in every sphere of the economy, not only in court, every institution. Maybe Royal College must have a lawyer. In your case, you have a good lawyers. We have a good Royal College Lawyers Association, but every institution must have a lawyer, because there are things which a lawyer does. Like you have the medical center and a doctor, maybe you must have some. I mean, we have association, so that provides that. And women lawyers. Inclusive means everyone. So we have a lot of initiatives now. to encourage women lawyers to stay in the practice, to get more involved. Because if you look at the university, the law faculty, my class, out of 200 in my batch, we had only 20 boys, or 20 or 30 boys, balance 170 for girls. The system is producing more qualified women, not men. So the women must now be given leading roles opportunities, and that's another pillar. So those are the three I want to drive: a change, modernization, and I will, as I always say, I will do my best. That's all you will get from me, and then I will hand it over and go. But I want to see. I'm determined. I think in the last 3 months we have seen some change, and that positive sentiment is coming. I want to make use of the balance period, and that is why I resigned from the central bank also, to spend time here.
Thank you, sir, and we wish you the best of luck to continue the good work that you've been doing at the Bar Association. Looking back, sir, what values or principles that you have learned from your time at Royal have guided you throughout your career and leadership journey?
So this K out, this K day, learn or depart. Now, I think that relates to what I said also. You have, I mean, it's not learning all the time, but you do your best in whatever you do. Just take this advice from me. If you do your very best, if you are honest and you ensure your integrity, and generally if you're grounded if you're firmly grounded, I think in any profession, in anything you do, you will go right to the top. Absolutely no doubt about it. What happens is sometimes we are impatient. Sometimes, and also we must, realize, come out to the material life we have. You're looking at, I want to improve the car, you want to get a new car, you want to get the latest car. I mean, young people, I mean, that is not, I think, and your generation is not for, that type of experiences. I think you have to see see through the mist. Each one of us has a role to play. Play that role well. Whatever you do, if you join as a sales representative, sales rep to a company, or a marketing rep, do that to the best of your ability, and you'll go up. You'll be the marketing director. Say you have your skills. You want to. So your English is not good. I'm just saying, it's a subject. Go and learn online. You go invest. Don't complain that I don't. Someone has English, but it's a subject. And I have seen lawyers, and we have very senior lawyers who have not known English, who have not come from families or backgrounds, not gone to schools like Royal, but they are polished. English is very good, which means that it's something you can acquire. Don't be defeatist. And I think there is, and we have a very intelligent people in this country. Literacy, we always are taught from here, that highest literacy in the Asian region and so on. I travel to India a lot on various, I'm rising a fellow of the ORF and so on, various conferences, legal and otherwise. I can see India is really going ahead. They are looking at themselves as the fourth largest economy in the world. It's developing, and they have, again, English is something which most people are now familiar with. We need to also go forward. India doing good is good for us, like that. So I think, again, going back, you asked me the question. Do the best you can in what you're doing, and it is persistent, consistent. So you can't just do one day well and then go to sleep the next day. As lawyers, say you go and win a case today, it's in the newspapers. Again, you have a new case tomorrow, which you can lose. So you can lose that and you'll be in the newspapers. I mean, so you have to win that again. Like playing cricket or a sport. Keep winning. Just because you do one day, you do well, doesn't mean the next day you will do well. Life is like that. And of course, you have to relax. But be good to your friends. wherever your closest friends will always be the ones who you meet at school. That everyone would agree. They are friends who you meet when you were just a normal nobody, and then they will stay, and they will come, and they won't be around when you are doing things. But if you get into trouble or you are there, they will come to you. So I think those are the learnings we have. I can give, but also I think all of us need to get together and see that our country reaches its fullest potential. I don't think we are 25% of the potential we have as a country. I mean, this is a country waiting to be developed. And all of us, all of you especially, must have that opportunity, must, not think of leaving Sri Lanka. You must, that is the benchmark. You get to that level, you are developed. So I think that those are some words of encouragement, inspiration I can provide.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful words of advice. Finally, to wrap things up, what advice would you like to give to the current Royalists, especially those aspiring to pursue law, public service, or leadership roles in society?
Get involved. I mean, you're fortunate to be at institution of learning such as Royal because of the numbers. I say this not because of the location, tradition, so on, but you're in an institution. We have large numbers, and you have to compete. If you want to come first in your class, you get a large number. If you want to come first in your batch, you have to get into the first 11 or the first 15 raga. It's a bigger competition. So you have been pushed into that. Now that you're there, make use of it. Get involved. I think apart from your studies, leadership comes. You can't learn leadership. You have to be involved. I mean, it's not reading a book and saying, well, I'm now a leader. You can be a team member. Go and participate, whether it's from a Ramadan or, whether it's some association, whether it's a walk, whether it's something. Get involved. Sport, because you have so much opportunity, so many clubs and societies. All the sports, I think, are possible sports Royal provides. Do your education. Learn, be disciplined. You will have, get to know your seniors, juniors in the school, but they will be useful to you. And enjoy life. Probably the best time of anyone's life is this period you're in school. Don't ever forget that. You always think, well, the next stage is better. Well, you will have different, but you have more responsibility. Yeah, you are carefree. Enjoy life. Be a little mischievous. No harm in that. Don't get caught. But I'm saying with the responsibility. You're lucky. I mean, the children, the youngsters, young adults, enjoy life and build in these characters. And certainly, also, spend more physical time. Where youngsters are spending too much time on phones and tabs. And please go and play cricket. Go and play in the neighborhood. Cycle. You need to also say this, because even we are now looking at spending too much time on the phone. I spend too much time on the phone with various things you operate. Please do that. And that is a little bit of advice I can give. I am very happy that the Royalist magazine has reached this level. I mean, when you showed me this copy, I was very impressed, because you have taken what we started to another level, and now you have QR codes which go into videos. I mean, maybe some of you all are also publishers, journalists in the making. That's also another good career option. So please do what you're doing, excel in what you're doing, and as they say, keep the flag flying quite high.
Thank you, sir. All right. And that brings us to the conclusion of this episode of our interview series. Once again, sir, thank you very much for joining with us today. I'm certain this conversation offered valuable insights to our enthusiastic viewers and readers alike. Thank you to everyone who tuned in today. We truly appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Until then, take care and goodbye.